What's up guys, Ranger here, and I'm back with, for the first time ever, with a follow-up review to an episode of MLP. And the reason why I'm doing this follow-up video is because there were actually a couple of things. Well, one thing that I forgot to mention at the end of my other video, and instead of just editing that in, I decided to just make a follow-up video because there was another couple of topics that I wanted to actually discuss. Currently, I'm in the process of rendering my video. I just finished editing the whole thing. I'm currently in the process of rendering it currently, and by the time you get this, the episode will be uploaded. But I just wanted to there was a couple of other things. While rendering the video, I was browsing art on Derpy Brew, but specifically the art pertaining to the 9th episode, the Slice of Life episode, to check out the art and see what, kind of to browse through the comments to see what people were saying, and in regard to the character appearances and such. And while doing that, I actually saw some screen caps for the episode for some things that I completely missed. So I'm going to touch upon that as well in this post-episode review. Now, like I said, this first time that I've ever done this before, but considering it's the 100th episode, I think it sort of merits it. Now, first off, one of the things I forgot to talk about in my other review was in regard to the character interactions between Luna and Celestia. I think it was really cool to be able to see the characters actually interact with each other and act like sisters. They weren't royalty. They were normal characters. They were normal ponies. They weren't royalty. They weren't supposed to. At that moment, they didn't care about a status or about their rank. They were just sisters. And it was really cool to be able to see those see the interactions with the characters right there, and continue to sort of see that sisterly quarrel between them. It added a little bit more development to their characters, and then to be able to see them actually sitting in the audience, being upset with each other, and then finally look at each other and resolve that just with that accepting, forgiving look, and all was fine, all was well with them. It was really cool to be able to see that, with their characters, and I really hope that in the future we do actually get to see another episode, possibly where, brings more development, with Luna and Celestia. And I really think that it would be cool to be able to see a little more of that. A little more of the, more of the characters not acting, as royalty, but just acting as sisters. I think personally, I would really like to see that. But seeing the characters' interactions here, great, and it was really cool to be able to see that. Now then, another reference that I failed to notice, because I mean, literally, this is an episode where you have to watch multiple times to be able to catch every little detail that is going on. And one of the references that I saw a screen cap of was of Berry Punch, whenever the base cannon went flying, or was throwing every pony everywhere. She was holding a barrel of punch or something, and within the fandom, she's drunk, and so they kind of worked that little reference in, that she loves punch, I guess. And I think that's really cool. I think that's really cool that they put that in there. And then we also saw Button Mash and everything, and a lot of people see Button Mash and Sweetie Belle as being a character shipping, and I don't think there wasn't anything that I noticed in this episode that gave any little references or little subtle hints to that. But Button Mash was still brought back. It was really cool to be able to see his character again. Now, also, I made a mention about Vinyl lifting her glasses to show her eyes. And I actually forgot, like I said, the episode, there was just so much going on. I actually forgot that Vinyl there was 2 moments where you did see, 2 or 3 moments where you did see her eyes. So I forgot about that, but I am glad that they put that in there. Now, again, already, the episode aired yesterday. Already there are people right now that are that are believing that Vinyl is mute. And like I said, the only nitpick that I had with this episode was that she did not speak. But personally, I myself, the concept, or rather the idea of her being mute, I can't really see that with Vinyl. I love the idea of her. I love the character, or the personality that Jessie brings to Vinyl's character. And so I think that the way that she does Vinyl is perfect. And that's the way I see her. And she didn't speak in this episode. And like I said, that's the only little disappointment that I have with it. Otherwise, but again, still, I mean, that's I'm not holding that against the episode, because the episode was fantastic. I mean, the episode was just completely fantastic. And the concept of Vinyl being mute, I think it's sort of, it does add for an interesting idea. Like, it kind of brings to mind, like, the idea of, like, another idea of how Vinyl and Octavia met. Like, possibly Vinyl has always been mute, and she was possibly picked on as a foal. But Octavia was the one person that stood up for her and was there for her. And so they quickly became sisters. And Vinyl later met many other ponies, and she sort of started expressing herself through music. And like, whenever she plays a sort of a sad tune, she's sad. Whenever she plays really excitable music, she's happy, she's excited. And so it does bring that interesting light to mind, you know, that Octavia doesn't really pity Vinyl or is friends with her because she feels sorry for her, but she understands her. She's the one person that actually understands Vinyl, and she's been friends with Vinyl for so long. She can see just Vinyl's expressions, her body motions. You know, Octavia understands what Vinyl is saying, and so that personally, to me, that is a really interesting concept for, you know, for those characters. Now, another thing that also I completely failed to mention, I failed to check on it, was the writer. And the writer for the episode, the writer for the episode was M.A. Larson. And so I cannot credit you enough, man. This was a fantastic episode, and I completely apologize that I forgot to check on that before the episode aired. I really, really apologize. I'm so sorry. But again, that's another reason I wanted to do a post-episode review and discussion, was so that I could credit Larson for this incredible episode. Thank you so much, Mr. Larson. This episode was fantastic. It was absolutely beautiful. Every little detail aspect. It was gorgeous. Thank you so much, man. This was completely awesome. Now, another thing that I wanted to actually talk about was one thing that I wanted to touch upon was while browsing through the artwork on Derpy Brew in regard to this episode, there were some people that are already. There were a couple of people that I saw on a couple different images that were upset with this episode. They said they didn't enjoy it because there was too much fan service, and a couple of people even said, "I'm done with this fandom. I'm done." Okay, you know what I say to that? Go ahead. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See you never. That's what I say to that. Okay. I know there are some people that will not enjoy this episode. I understand. I know that. Not every single episode that comes out we're going to enjoy. I mean, I have my favorites. I have episodes that I prefer more so over others. We all do. But even with the episodes that I'm not exactly partial to, I'm not letting it stop me from enjoying the show. I'm not letting it make me turn my back on the show, on the fandom, on the wonderful creativity that the show has itself, and the wonderful creativity that it has spawned within the fandom. I'm not letting it turn. I'm not going to let it make me stop being a brony, being who I am. I'm not going to let it make me stop enjoying the show. One little bad thing is so I mean, it's so tiny in comparison to how much good that the show has, to how much good that the fandom is. I'm not, I mean, and me personally, if I kind of have the belief in my mind that if a person is really going to let an episode like this make them leave the fandom, then in my mind, they must not have been very much of a fan to begin with. I mean, take example Disney, if I may make that example. A lot of the stuff that Disney makes, and Nickelodeon as well, I'm not leaving them out, Nickelodeon as well, are the live action shows. I'm not fond of those. I'm honestly not. But regardless, I'm still standing behind them. I'm still a fan of Disney and Nickelodeon because I'm still fans of Disney, of Mickey, Minnie, and I still like SpongeBob. I'm not a big fan, but I still like that. And so I'm not going to just say I'm done because I'll miss what does come out. I would have missed these new Disney cartoons. I love them. And some people would enjoy, I haven't watched the new SpongeBob movie yet, but I'm sure some people have really enjoyed it. Some people have actually said that it's breathing new life back into SpongeBob again. I haven't watched it yet, so I can't give a personal judgment on that. But again, we would miss it. I'm not backing down. Even if there is some bad that comes out, I'm not going to let it stop me from continuing to enjoy the show, continuing to enjoy the characters that I love. Supernatural is another fine example. My personal favorite seasons, I think, was season 1 through 3 or 1 through 4. Whenever the whole concept of the angels and everything came into play, it seemed like it was really stretching it out there. Don't get me wrong, I still love the show. I'm still addicted to the show. But it seemed like it was really far-fetched and really stretching it out there. It wasn't just about hunting. It wasn't just about the brothers anymore going to, from place to place, checking out, investigating monster reports or suspicious activity. It wasn't that anymore. It was them dealing with the angels and the demons and the king of heck, and it became that. It was really throwing it out there. My personal favorite seasons, I think, were 1 through 4. But I still love the rest of the seasons. And even if some people feel that the show was getting too far out there, I'm still here. I'm not going to back down. I want to see what happens. I want to see the show all the way through to the end. I want to see what happens in the end. I want to be someone that I want to be able to say I never backed down with it, that I never stopped being a fan. And I stuck with it all the way to the end to see where it led. That's what I want to do. Now, I know the people that have backed out of the fandom already will probably say, dude, you're too dedicated, you're addicted, that's a problem. Everybody has mixed opinions on that. If you want to leave, fine. I'm not going to tell you no. I'm not going to say come back, that's your choice. But I'm sticking around. If I'm not going to judge somebody for them leaving the fandom, then I don't want to be judged for sticking around in the fandom. And this episode, like I said, it was pure fan service. But I saw no problem with this episode. Someone made a really good point. There was one person, I can't remember what their text was, or what they typed out, but they made a really fantastic point with this episode. You can find it over on Derpy Brew. It was one of the Slice of Life, it was tagged with Slice of Life, so just check one of the pieces of art that has a lot of comments. Positive, that has a lot of comments, but someone else pointed out that this episode was proof that the background characters were popular enough and were good enough on their own to that if an episode was made about them, it wouldn't have to revolve around the main 6 to still be good. And that's true. This episode was proof of that. The episode could have, they could make an entire, Hasbro could make an entire MLP Doctor Who crossover kind of deal where the episodes are like Doctor Who. It would work. They could make a whole series of Daring Do. It would work. They could make an entire series of Bon Bon being a secret agent. It would work. They can make an entire series of Vinyl and Octavia working together with music, but also, you know, sometimes getting on each other's nerves, you know, it would still work. It would work with every single character. Anything really that they wanted to do, because these characters are loved enough and popular enough, they would stand on their own. They would stand on their own, I can't say 2 feet, their own 4 hooves. It would work. That's incredible. And, like I said, there are people right now that want to leave the fandom because of this episode. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of anime. I will tell you that. I love anime. I've watched episodes of different animes before that were purely fan service, and you know what? I was fine with it. And I mean, a little fan service to me, what that says to me is whenever we get an episode that has some fan service in it, it is acknowledging the existence of the fandom. Supernatural did it. I can't remember the title of the episode. Some of you might remember the episode where Sam and Dean was supposed to go to some sort of convention where one of their biggest fans, that girl, someone had started writing books of Sam and Dean's adventures, and it became a fandom of its own within the show. And they showed up to that convention, and there were replicas of the Impala. There were people dressed as Sam and Dean. You remember there was that scene where Sam and Dean, I think we're in the motel room, and Sam was reading. Sam started reading, telling Dean about fan fictions of them. That was purely a fan service episode, and it was golden. It broke the fourth wall in so many pieces, but it was a golden episode. It was hilarious because the writers, they were acknowledging, I mean, everybody that worked on the show, they were acknowledging that the fandom loved the show. They were acknowledging the different parts of the fandom that existed. They were acknowledging that, and they were acknowledging to the fans that they existed. They were saying, hey, we know you guys exist, and we appreciate it. Thank you for all the support. To me, that's what that is. And for me, this episode of MLP is just like that episode of Supernatural. It is acknowledgement to the fans, to the fandom, that they exist, that we exist. And it's saying, thank you for all the support. I can't say, I don't know. I mean, if the fandom had never came into being, I honestly don't know if MLP would have lasted as long as it had of. I'm not in no way saying that the show does not have the creative talent to last as long as it had of without the support of the fandom. It clearly does. But it's just, whenever a show's ratings begin to drop, they cancel it. They don't continue to force it out in the hopes that it will get popular again. Any place will do that. I've seen many good shows. I mean, a lot of us have. We've seen a lot of good shows that fell into the abyss that we loved because the ratings began to drop. Ghost Whisperer was one of them. I love that show. Brandy Mr. Whiskers was another one. Does anybody remember that show that used to come on? I think it was on CBS. It was from the creators of Lost. Drive. Do you remember that? Whenever a show's ratings begin to drop, they will drop the show. And even if it has a small level of popularity, they will still drop it. What matters is the ratings. In this case, they could have kept the show going, but it wouldn't. I don't think it would have been exactly the same way that it would have been now. It might not would have even lasted 5 seasons. It might would have just lasted 3 seasons, which is kind of typical for your average animated show. Around 60 episodes, generally, and then that's it. 52 episodes, 60-some episodes, and then that's it. Some shows actually have the formula to last longer than that. SpongeBob was one, the Looney Tunes, of course, Kim Possible. I'm not even going to get started on Simpsons or Family Guy or South Park, but these shows, I mean, those shows, they have the formula to work. This show has the formula to work. And it's, I mean, they have acknowledged, I mean, okay, Kim Possible is another fine example. They were originally going to end the series after the Drama movie, but the fan base was so huge, they wanted more. So they created the 4th and final season specifically because of that, to end the series for good, with a better ending. If it wasn't for the fandom, season 4 of of Kim Possible would never have came into being. It was because of those fans that season actually exists. So, Is fan service a bad thing? No, it's a great thing. Do I want every single episode to be a fan service episode? I think a mix. More of the common episodes that we've seen before of this season, I would love to see. I mean, I want those to continue, but with this episode, this episode is proof that a fan service episode with a well-written story can work. So seeing a couple of these mixed in, like seeing 1 or 2 of these every 10 or so episodes, I think would be fine. But again, this episode is proof that a fan service episode can work. This wasn't just a complete... this episode was bizarre. It was it was crazy, but it was crazy awesome. And it had a good story to it that worked. With everything, with all the stuff that was going on, it still had a story that worked, and the story still played out good. It worked. And so, it's creative writing talent right there that makes something like that work. And like I said, this is definitely one of my most favorite episodes of all time. And there's so much proof for what can work just in this episode alone. And like I said, this was a great fan service episode. And for the 100th episode, this show, 100 episodes, guys. 100 episodes. If you can name off any other animated show, apart from Simpsons or Family Guy or South Park, that has made it to 100 episodes, please list that show below in the comments, please. Because I really want to know. I'm talking animated, okay? Not live action, not CGI, animated, like this. Traditionally animated or flash animated like this. Tell me the name of the show below, because I want to check it out. But this episode, like I said, this episode has lasted for 100 episodes now. 5 years, 100 episodes. Look how far this show has come. 100 episodes, 5 years. This show has the potential to last 5 more years with 100 more episodes. Like I said in my last review for that episode, can we do it? I really think so. There's a lot of creative talent, a lot of brilliant minds, a lot of passion, and a lot of heart that goes into this show. And there's a lot of wonderfully talented bronies out there that have continued with fantastic animations, and not just animations. There's a lot of beautiful fan art out there, a lot of adorable art, a lot of beautiful fan art, and there's also a lot of creative music talent out there as well. So many artists have created so much beautiful music. Right now, there are radio stations. I downloaded one of the apps myself, Ponyhoof. No, not Ponyhoof. Hoofbeats. It's a downloadable little thing that you can get, and it puts a little icon. You can listen to MLP music 24/7 from different radio stations that you can choose. There's so much music. We have that. And the fandom is not done. The artists are not done. There's a lot more music to come out. Not just MLP related music, but starting with MLP music, these artists have got their start with MLP music, and they're doing their own art. Their own music that isn't even related to MLP, but it's still fantastic music. And so, and the same goes for animators and artists and fanfiction writers. And so, there's a lot of creative talent out there, not just within the show, but within the fandom as well. And so, there's so much potential. Regardless, I know there is some bad out there within the fandom. I know that. That's clearly evident. But I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on the good. Because it's clearly evident as well that there is good. And I want to focus on that. And take any of your families, for example. Not one of you, I know I can't, not one of you can be honest and say you don't have any bad apples, any black sheep in your family. You do. Every one of us does. They give the rest of the family a bad name. We know it. We all have those black sheep within our family. The ones that we don't really want to speak of. The one that you don't really want to be around at the family reunion. The one that whenever they call you up, you try to avoid getting their call. Whenever someone mentions their name, you're just like, oh, what do they do now? We know we all have those people within our family. Those people, the brony community is a family. Black sheep are those members of that family. We just avoid them. They're still good. You just gotta focus, do your own thing, be happy, and push on. But anyway, that was my afterthoughts on this episode. Again, beautiful episode, wonderful episode. Thank you, Larson, for this incredible, fantastic episode. Thank you, everybody at Hasbro, for 100 fantastic episodes of MLP. Thank you for 5 years, 100 episodes. Thank you to everybody that worked on this, to everybody that worked on this episode, to everybody that works on the show in general. Thank you again, Larson, for the writing on this. This was crazy, man. Thank you. And again, thank you to everybody within. Thank you to the MLP fandom for continuing to be as incredible as you are, and for being just you. And again, I say that as well with the people that works on MLP. Thank you for being you and working on the show, giving it just what you have, the magic. Literally the magic. The magics. So thank you again, and thank you guys again for joining me in this post-episode review, or discussion rather. Thank you guys again for joining me. If you actually sat through this entire thing, I really appreciate it. But if you have anything you want to add, please put it in the comments below. Thank you guys again for joining me in this post-episode discussion, and I will see you guys again next time with the next video that I do. Take care.